All right, welcome everybody to the North Central Washington Most Valuable Partner Series. My name is Carrie Horning. I'm the Career Connected Learning Specialist with Ncw 171. I'm super excited to welcome you all back to today's interview. And just as a quick little reminder, this series serves as an opportunity to both introduce and maybe even reintroduce community partners with our educators, our students, and other community partners to the services offered, needs, and detailed information of each entity that we highlight. So we're brought to you today by Career Connect Washington and the Apple STEM Network. And all of us at Career Connected Learning are beyond grateful for our most valuable partners and honored that they've chosen to spend a little bit of time with us. So as I like to say, grab your lunch, sit back, and get ready for an extra dose of professional nutrition. Today's guest is Michelle Sandoval, co-founder and co-executive director of Fyre Okanagan. Maddie Sandoval, is that correct? Is your counterpart? Excellent. Very good. So one thing that I always like to do is give a little bit of an introduction. You may have noticed if you've been with us throughout this series, a common theme. These folks love their work and they give it their all, which doesn't leave much time for R&R. But I did pull a little bit out of Michelle. She said that she and her husband have a 3-year-old daughter. So any spare time spent with her family is, and I quote, magic. And I told her, I've got 2 daughters that are almost 23 and almost 20. So I wholeheartedly agree with that magic comment because time goes way too fast. So Michelle, welcome. Are you ready to do this?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Carrie.
You're welcome. I'm excited about this. So let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about Fyre.
Yes. So Fyre stands for, it's Fyre, F-Y-R-E, and it stands for the Foundation for Youth Resiliency and Engagement. And we are a new organization. We actually soft opened our doors in October of 2020. So beginning of the pandemic, we really were seeing some needs that needed to be addressed now. These were things that, were in our hearts prior to the start of COVID, but really just pushed us into high gear when the pandemic started underway. And so in the beginning, we really wanted to make sure that our young people had multiple ways to get involved and also to find safety here with us in Okanagan County. And so since then, we've added a lot of things to what we're currently doing, and I'm excited to tell you about those things. We are serving young people 12 to 24 in Okanagan County. We're located in Central County, so OMAC area. We're right across the street from the OMAC main library.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about that, the fact that you started during COVID. So we all know that's difficult, but that's amazing. And here you are growing and expanding already. Can you talk a little bit about that? That's extremely inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got serious. So co-founders, fellow co-director Maddie is also a co-founder, and then also Amity Sandoval. And so we really got together, I think it was in March, and we just really got serious. Just the things that we were seeing, we were very concerned about, what young people's learning was going to look like. We were concerned about other things prior to the pandemic, but knew those things were going to be pretty serious, in the months to come. We did think that come October that potentially, things would be different. Like everybody else, I think we thought that there was going to be some recovery efforts that were really going to allow us to open our doors more widely in October of 2020. But that wasn't the case. But I'm just so glad that we really stepped it into high gear as soon as we could. And so some of the things that we initially had were a youth supply closet, which we still have. And that was available to anybody and still is 12 to 24 to come in and get hygiene supplies, sexual health items and clothing, blankets, towels, the things that young people in our community definitely definitely need. We've seen a lot of traffic come through our closet. And then also we really had the opportunity from early on to do drop-in support. So that just looked like young people coming in and getting, having questions and getting help printing. It started like that. And then we knew that we wanted to offer one-on-one support, and we started that in early 2021. And we're so excited to be continuously adding more and more supports and opportunities for young people. Leadership groups, something that have been a part of what we've been doing since the beginning as well. So
nice. I have so many thoughts rolling around my mind, but perseverance and dedication, comes to the top of my mind. So, so before I want to ask you about your mission, because I know, it's important. It's very important. But before we get into that, can you talk a little bit about how do the kids find out how to get there? How do they find out about Fyre?
Yeah, so in the very beginning, so we try to get a really broad social media presence very early on, and that really worked. So Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, really hitting social media hard. We also knew a lot of young people prior to creating Fyre, and so a lot of young people kind of followed us here. So we worked with young people prior, and word of mouth has been, from young person to young person, has been the best way that we have seen young people come in. So definitely in terms of engagement, the peer-to-peer referral, the sibling-to-sibling referral, the family referrals, the personal connections that we have with young people and families, those are the people who really have kind of shown up for us and made sure that young people are getting access to services.
That's terrific. All right. Well, good. So let's go ahead and tell me then. Tell us about your mission. What is Fyre's focus there, or Fyre's focus there?
Yeah, our mission is to advocate for equitable opportunities that allow all youth to thrive. And so what that means to us is that, as I mentioned before, it means that we have intentionally built in multiple ways for young people to engage with us. It also means that we are a safe space. And it means that we value and we recognize the parts of rural Okanagan County that, we don't necessarily see people speaking up about. And so we are very outward advocates for our LGBTQ youth. We also really know the importance of representation, and we talk about that with our young people. And so we really want to be a space where every young person feels safe here. And through that safety, we know that will then give them access to leadership opportunities, that they will feel confident and able to use their voices to self-advocate, but also to be leaders for other young people. And also, we know that that is critical in order for young people to feel safe in the things that they don't currently feel safe doing, or even to know that one of our arm services is harm reduction, to know that there's no judgment here in terms of getting access to the first level of seeking help. So we carry Narcan, for example. We also are a place where you can come and you can tell us that you're currently engaging in active substance use, and you know that your life is valued here.
Nice. That is beautiful. I think it's so important, especially with what we've been going through, since the beginning of the pandemic, that these students know that, and youth know that they're supported. So that's beautiful. So thank you for doing that work too. So as we move through, forward into 2022, what are you looking for, for this year, from this year?
I think we are super excited about the opening of our recreation space. And so that has been a long time coming. I will say that our young people who are under 18, that 12 to 18 age group, are also really excited. They come in and they're like, can I see it? Can I see how far it's come along? So we are really excited to be doing that very soon. We just finished up the hiring process for that side of the building and are just really excited to have that open up. And so that will
what's that going to look like? What services are going to be offered there for the kids?
Yeah, so basically there is a hangout space, and then we're also going to be having structured activities and workshops. And so I think even just the hangout space, even if young people don't want to engage in structured workshops, just having a place to hang out, have food and snacks and people who enjoy seeing their face, I think that is just so exciting. And then also, we are really wanting to begin our outreach to other, making sure that we hit other parts of the county outside of OMAC. It's very hard for young people to travel. We're seeing young people travel from Bridgeport. We're seeing young people travel from Oroville to come to us. And then we occasionally can go out to them. But we also want to make sure that we build in a structured outreach strategy. So we're working on that as well to make sure that we hit certain parts of the county.
So if somebody's watching this, and whether it's live or recorded, and they wanted to connect, do they just simply go to the website? Do they call? What's the best way for a youth or even an adult to get in touch and get some information from you?
I think for young people, we encourage them to call us, to message us on social media, and also, to talk to their peers who have been here, really kind of get a sense for, what would it be? And like I said, we have the capacity to do visits if needed. And then also, I think if you're a family member or if you are an adult who really wants, wants to make a referral, we encourage you to do so. And we do have a referral form for our partner agencies. So I'm willing to share that as well. To just contact me via email or by phone. But for our families and our community members who want to, engage a young person, I would say give us a call and we'll kind of walk you through the best way to go about that. I think we really emphasize making sure that the young person is involved in that process because that's so important to engagement. Instead of us saying, hey, so-and-so called us and they want you to be involved in this. It's really important to make sure that the young person is involved in those initial steps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's terrific. So I've done these interviews, multiple times, and I always, come back to that kind of, feel good story. And I know that the work that you do is very similar along the lines of a lot of the prior interviews, and that's why I've said so many of you are givers, and you're doing for and with our communities. And there's always usually something that kind of pulls at the heartstrings. So knowing that this interview series happens over lunch, so people are kind of multitasking. Maybe they're eating their lunch, maybe they're answering an email or two. This is usually something that I think may, kind of set that light bulb off for them. So is there a story that you can share with us without getting, specific about, your youth that just has stayed with you over time that you might be able to kind of share with us to give us an example of what's happening there?
Yeah. So I thought about this question a lot, and it is so hard to share kind of one story because I think so many of our young people really like our hearts are theirs for sure, and so many special things are happening. So I'll name a few, I think, to kind of give you a sense of the broad set of things that we're doing with young people. So in a recent meeting, a partner mentioned to us that they have been doing work with unaccompanied youth for quite some time. And it has been quite some time in a number of years that she has seen these young people get into stable housing. And she really thanked us for being involved in young people's lives in the last year, because she has seen 2 teen parents who have been involved with her, who went from being completely unaccompanied to being in stable housing. And so in this housing market, and if anybody knows about housing right now, that is pretty incredible to have a young adult and several young adults be working on that path with us, and having them make sure that they're working on those skills to become independent, and to know that this is not just impacting them, it's also impacting babies.
Yes.
Their babies is pretty magnificent. And we do that work with partners. That work is not possible without other community partners, without our schools. And so I really thank our McKinney-Vento liaisons for reaching out to us. And I also thank Leanne Montoya, who's at Community Action, who's also a fighter for young people. And then I also think of one of our young people who recently told us, we asked her, what does Fyre mean to you? Like, if, we were talking to community members, what would you want to share with community members about Fyre? And she said, Fyre means family. And that is to me, like, that is Fyre. Like, Fyre does mean family. It means that we give you a sense of community here. And so being a part of that is really what keeps us going.
Yeah, I love that. That's exactly why it is my favorite question every time I do this podcast. So kind of, along those lines, though, we're talking about all these different services that you provide. What are some of the needs that you have? You talk about the supply closet, but that's consistent and continuous. So what kind of needs do you have right now that if anybody's listening who wants to kind of reach out and help, how would they do so?
Yeah, so I would say, I think the best way to, right now we are primarily grant funded. And so that means that, if anybody who's working in grants, that there is a lot of overhead in terms of making sure that you are doing all the things to maintain grant compliance and making sure you continue to apply for grant funding. And so really the best gifts are monetary donations.
Okay.
And people can donate on our website. People can donate via PayPal. And if you are interested in making a donation, I would encourage you to visit us at okfyre.org, and we have a donate button on our webpage. We also are very much interested in making sure that our community members stand with us. If we do make a call out for community on certain things, like knowing that they're there, and also just supporting young people, support young people in your life. Make sure that the young people that you have in your life are and feel supported. And that looks like a lot of different things. It doesn't just look like, making sure that they're going to school or, those kinds of things. It means conversation. And it means asking them about the challenges that they see in their community.
Yeah, especially right now. We also run a little bit of a guest speaker series, and mental health was one of the topics, and then it was the topic that was requested over and over and over again. And I think, like we mentioned earlier, especially right now through this pandemic, opening up that conversation to talk about how we're feeling is probably more important than ever.
Yes,
certainly. So glad that you're doing that. In fact, on last week's interview, I met with Diana Ruiz from Renew Grant County, and they actually have kind of a group of people who are trained to go out and speak about mental illness, and we're arranging to get them into some of our school districts right now. So yeah, I think that works. That work and that reminder of the work even within our own families is super important right now, for all of us, not just the students. So good. Well, listen, we're kind of starting to wind down a little bit. I want to make sure that, if anyone has a question, go ahead and put it in the chat, or you can kind of, bounce in and just, interrupt if you'd like to, if you feel more comfortable doing that. But I also want to make sure that we kind of open it up. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about Fyre that maybe we haven't covered yet? I mean, from looking through your website and from speaking with you, last week, there are so many things happening there. What else would you like to share with us that we haven't covered?
Yeah, I think it because there are a number of different things going on, it is hard to kind of wrap your head around what we're trying to do sometimes. And so I would really kind of categorize what we're doing here into 3 main buckets. And one of those buckets looks like, it looks like to a lot of people crisis work, but we're also trying to ensure that because the work that we do that looks more like crisis work is done with young people. That is also prevention work. And because we're really trying to emphasize a multi-generational approach here. Like, we are working with young people to make sure that their access to medical, that their access to food stability, to housing stability, to economic stability is really something that can carry with them throughout their lives and will then impact our community and also their future children. Yeah. And so that is one arm of work. It is our one-on-one arm. And through that work, we are learning about needs, and we're listening to young people as they're telling us the challenges, and we're really trying to funnel that input up to a higher level to create new programs to really communicate this information to decision makers, and to make sure that rural places like ours have a voice, and that we are getting those challenges addressed at the systems level. So that systems change work is the other main arm, and it really gets fed up both from our one-on-one, but also from our work that we do with our leadership groups, the work that we are going to do in workshops, and even in the recreation space. Like, all of these things that we do are ways to listen to young people. They're not just single purpose things that we do. We're really trying to maximize our time with young people and make sure that we hear what they're saying when they're saying it, and we funnel that information up to make change. And we also make sure that they're learning how to make that change. So they're right next to us as we talk to people. They're right next to us at a school board meeting. They're right next to us when we're advocating for them, so they can advocate for their peers and their children and themselves.
That's terrific. I love it. I love it. Well, this has been amazing, and it's been a large amount of information to kind of take in. And again, I want to thank you for doing the work that you're doing, you and your team. So if there aren't any questions, I think that we're kind of about ready to end this one, unless there's anything else coming from the audience. Any other questions out there? No? Well, again, I'm going to just give everybody back the 5 minutes, but I want to thank you for joining us today. Yeah, lots of love coming from the audience, that's for sure. We're getting that in the chat right now. But I want to thank you for taking your time to share all of this with us, so that we can help share your message, and hopefully then also create more awareness. It sounds like you've got people coming in from many different communities, and hopefully we can assist in that way. But I think first and foremost, again, just thank you. It's always a learning experience for me to do these podcasts and these interviews. And what I'm finding out is there are so many different entities in our communities that are doing such amazing work. We can't not share that out. So thank you for being here today.
Yes, thank you for having me, Carrie.
You're welcome. We're welcome. And then on a side note, we'll see you in a few weeks. I get to come and actually tour around. So I'm excited for that. So listen, everybody, thanks for joining the Ncw Mvp Series. Again, brought to you by Career Connect Washington and the Apple STEM Network. It's about 12:41 and we're going to call this one. So enjoy those 4 minutes and have a great day. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.